Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 10 of season 5 of the F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. Yesterday we're here back ready for round 10 of the season. If you missed out on the video last week from the Canadian Grand Prix, I would definitely recommend going back and checking it out. Plenty of action from the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, one of my favourite tracks on the Formula 1 calendar though. But this weekend we head to the French Grand Prix, then often a track that in real Formula 1 hasn't provided much brilliant action, but certainly has over the course of this series so far. So yeah, hopefully this weekend can once again be very good fun. But yeah, of course there will be spoilers in 3, 2, 1 now. So if you did miss out on the last video, definitely go back and check it out. But yeah, despite a lap 1 incident, we were actually able to come through and still pick up another podium there. 9 podiums in a row to kick off this season there. 5 wins, 4 third places there. We're still yet to have a second place in this championship. Gives us a 58-point lead over our team, and Max Verstappen there had another tough weekend out down in P9 there. George Russell gets his second win on the board there. It is only the top 3 drivers in the championship that have been able to pick up wins early on this season. But yeah, obviously if you're new around here as well and you do go on to enjoy, make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. We're trying to hit 15,000 subs at the moment on the channel, so if you could help us get one step closer to that, it would be greatly appreciated. But let's dive in then here to the French Grand Prix. Quickly before we jump into this video though, Codemasters once again have been hooking us up with some exclusive deals for you guys. Between now and the end of Saturday this week, there are some mega savings on some of your favourite Codemasters titles. If you haven't tried out F1 2020 yet, this is your chance. £14.40 currently over on Green Man Gaming there. Dirt 5 as well at £18. Dirt Rally 2.0 just £4. And on top of those prices, you can save another 10% by using our discount code as well. The links to everything will be down in the description. This is quite possibly the best offers you're going to get for these games that so far that have been around Win 2021. So yeah, make sure you go check them out. Links, like I said, will be down in the description. You also help the channel out, obviously, if you guys do opt to use our links as well, so it'd be greatly appreciated. But let's dive into the video. We are then ready for qualifying for the French Grand Prix then, and I know I say this every time we come back to Circuit Paul Ricard. I do find this place really good fun to race on the Formula 1 games. Yeah, I know I sound like a broken record at this point when I come back here, but yeah, I completely understand. It's not a brilliant race to watch in real life, but on F1, it is a brilliant fun track to try and get a lap hooked up, and I'm sure, to be honest, I would have thought the F1 drivers probably do find it quite good fun as well. It's a great time trial track. It just provides no action whatsoever due to the high-speed nature of it, but you can see current laps coming in. 25s are the times to be beating at the moment. We probably want to be looking at about a mid-25 on these mediums there, as we were actually a bit cheeky through turn 1 on the exit. Obviously, as always, we've gone out on the mediums for our first run. Pace seems pretty good this weekend, but Mercedes, AlphaTauri and Racing Point all looking pretty quick as well here. We might need to try and bring some more upgrades to the car over the next couple of weekends as well. What is the gap going to be at the end of Sector 2? We're actually down on Charles Leclerc in 5th place, which is not what we need. Coming out of the final corner, then down towards the start-finish line. It's probably going to be about a high 26, I think, when all is said and done. Yeah, 26.4 is not quite where we need it to be at the end of our first run, so we need over a second if we want to still be near the front of the order. Right, so we're going to head back out onto the circuit with a few minutes left on the clock. I thought, you know, it was nice and empty out on the track, so hopefully we can try and go for a better run here second time around. Obviously, the softs versus the mediums should be a whole lot quicker anyway. And yeah, we aren't going to have to deal with any traffic over the course of this lap as well, which is nice. Let's see if we can try and get the first couple of corners hooked up a whole lot better. Take a lot of curb on the entry to turn 1. Try and take a lot on the exit turn 2 there. You can already see 3/10 up as we head down in towards turn 3 and turn 4 there. Again, just really trying to take as much curb as you dare down into first gear there, just so you get the front end pointed in. A little bit wide as we head out onto the back straight, but already half a second up as we head out onto the first half of the Mistral straight there. That's exactly what we needed at the start of this lap. Let's see if we can keep it nice and tidy and try to get to the end. Heading down in towards the final couple of corners and still trying to take as much curb as you dare in a lot of places around here, but we're 1.2 up as we head down in towards the final couple of corners there. Can we just keep it nice and tidy, get a good run out of the final turn? They're going to be 1.2 seconds up as we head up towards the start-finish line there at 25.2. Puts us P3, but homeboy Gasly already down into the 124s. That is a ferociously quick time. So Gasly then seems to be the man to beat in the current stages of this weekend there. But P3, a tenth and a half quicker than our teammate Max Verstappen is something we can't boast about all too often there. Albon in the Red Bull looking rather strong as well there. Quite surprised to see him through into Q3, but Hamilton there down in 11th place, still struggling to get to grips with his Red Bull machinery there. But yeah, both Renaults, both Ferraris, and then Carlos Sainz joining Hamilton at the end of Q2 there. Let's dive into Q3. Can we try and get the car at the very least on the front row? We might need the 24 to do so. Heading out into Q3 then, ready to start our first flying lap. We can set a low 25 as a good banker. I'd probably be quite happy with that at the start of this session. Obviously everyone now has got everything turned up to the absolute maximum here, and you want to be really just hanging on in through a lot of the corners as well. It's so satisfying when you get this place hooked up. That is not the run we needed through the first couple of turns though. Just get a little bit of wheel spin as the bottom of the car. Grounded out between turn 1 and turn 2. Oh, a bit of a lock-up as we head through the next couple of corners there, but it actually helped us out, allowed us to get the front end pointed in a bit more as we head out onto the Mistral straight once again. I think, yeah, 24s are definitely doable in the car at the moment if we get the lap absolutely dialed in, but it's a case of just seeing who else can do the same there. Gasly sets the first banker of a 25.4, so a little way off his Q2 run. Whether we'll be able to emulate that is a very, very different question. They're actually really trying to ride that curb on the exit of Sector 2 there. You can see we're 6/10 up on Pierre as we head down in towards Sector 3 here. We're running incredibly low aero though this weekend. Obviously you kind of forget just how sort of high speed Circuit Paul Ricard is on F1 2020 as well there, as you try to avoid the wheel spin as you head down in towards the final couple of turns. Apparently there's an apex in there. I certainly haven't found it that time round. That was a horrible run as we head down in towards the final couple of corners of our first lap. Keep it nice and tidy. Come on. There we go. Avoid the wheel spin on the exit. Now it's just watching the clock as you head towards the start-finish line. It's going to be a 1:25.2. First lap there is Russell on a 24.5. Where on earth have Mercedes found that time if the sandbag's been released once again? Back out onto the track though, I don't think we're going to have enough time to go for a second run here, so I think unfortunately P5 is all we're going to be able to get. Ready for the French Grand Prix there. Is it going to be P5 or are we going to get beaten by anyone else? P5 on the grid then, and I don't think we could have found much more time at the end of qualifying, but it would have been nice to get the second run in.
We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Russell, Bottas and Sergio Perez. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Well, looking at those final results, I think P2 on the grid could have very much been possible at the end of qualifying there. No way were we going to be able to get near George Russell, who set an absolutely monumental 1:24.5 at the end of Q3 there. Bottas, though, makes it a Mercedes front row lockout. Sergio Perez and Albon make up row 2 there ahead of myself, Danny Kvyat there, and you can see then Stroll and Max Verstappen down on row 4 there. What has happened to Max Verstappen over the last couple of weekends there? Gasly and Norris even, I should say, on row 5, but not the best qualifying session once again for ourselves. We might need to start bringing some upgrades onto the car ready for the second half of the season there, but let's dive in then here to the French Grand Prix.
Hello and welcome to the Circuit Paul Ricard, current home of the French Grand Prix, an event dating all the way back to 1906. It's been held at many venues over the years, with famous moments from Dijon and Manicourt the feature of many a highlights reel. And let's hope we see more of those in the race today. 6 lefts and 9 rights give us a total of 15 corners here at the Circuit Paul Ricard, and a lap covers an overall distance of 3.6 miles. Average speeds will be somewhere in the region of 142 miles per hour, and they'll be maxing out on the Mistral straight at around 205 miles per hour. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. George Russell will begin today's event from pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Albon, Mr. Monaco, and Kvyat, Stroll, Verstappen, Gasly, and Lando Norris, Hamilton, Raikkonen, Carlos Sainz, and Joe, Leclerc, Ocon, Nobuharu Matsushita, and Jordan King. Latifi, Giovinazzi, De Vries, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing, as we head to trackside for today's race.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
We've had podiums every single race this season. I'm just going to ignore Jeff with his ridiculous demands at this point of the World Championship. But here we are then, ready on the grid for what is looking like quite a cloudy French Grand Prix then here today. 27 laps ahead of us, and the team is seeing a two-stop. Is that normal around here? Should we be looking at a two-stop strategy, or is the one-stop still going to be doable if we keep the tyres in good nick? Only time will tell here around this French GP. But obviously, as always, we're going to underfuel the car by a couple of laps. Just no need in putting that much fuel in it. It's so economical nowadays as well there. But yeah, we could go soft, medium, medium. We might... Well, I mean, like I said, we'll have a look at what the tyres can do. Why on earth is it adding that many pit stops to our race strategy here? But yeah, we'll have a look. We'll go somewhere like that, I suppose. The team only reckon 7 laps on a set of softs. That seems a bit pessimistic, I can't lie to you guys. But anyway, let's dive in then here to the French Grand Prix. Round 10 of the season. Can we make it 10 podiums in a row at the start of this World Championship? We need a nice tidy lap 1. It's 5 red lights. And it's lights out. And away we go. Ooh, good getaway for once. Actually, that was pretty decent as we head down in towards turn 1. We got, I think that's Stroll. Have a look up the inside. Oh, how on earth? Thread the needle. I think Stroll's actually spanned because of that. Warning for a collision with Stroll. Stroll's out. And we got a safety car straight away in this French Grand Prix there. I think Stroll just got way too optimistic on the inside of the start there. And yeah, that is Lance Stroll out of the French Grand Prix straight away. And we've instantly got a safety car. From the race replays from Lance Stroll's car there, you can see he does get off to a pretty decent little start as we head down in towards turn 1. The AI tend to be able to deploy so much ERS in towards the first corner there. We just go a bit defensive on him, but he just completely cuts the corner, and that wiped his car out. That tiny amount of contact between myself and Lance Stroll wiped his car out there, and I think that left a huge train of cars behind him as well. You can see everyone else behind getting caught in that huge train once that was all said and done there. But I can't believe that small amount of contact for Lance Stroll ended up wiping the wheel off his car there. Let's have a look, yeah, just from Stroll's point of view once more. You can see headed down in towards turn 1. 4 wide he tried to make it there. And yeah, just you can see that, lost the wheel. Our teammate, yeah, did actually get involved with Pierre Gasly there, and that just left a huge train of cars down the rear of the field there, but not the start that Lance Stroll wanted. He's out of the French Grand Prix. And then once more from the French Grand Prix, and if anything, that start has probably helped us out just a little bit. It means the guys in front weren't able to get away. We've kept the tyres in much better nick than we would have been able to as well there. And I think we've had some massive winners behind us as well. Raikkonen up into 7th there. Magnussen from the back row. He might have even started last in this Grand Prix, up 13 or 14 places inside about 2 corners there. So that's quite impressive from him, but it is going to be George Russell who restarts from the lead here ahead of Bottas, Albon, Perez and myself, as that is not going to help us. Getting way too early on the power as we head through the final corner, and now we've got to let Magnussen by as well. Just getting a bit too early on the power there, but we do get back onto the road once more. Getting back out onto the Mistral straight, though surely K-Mag isn't going to be much to defend with against ourselves. They're one of the fastest cars in Formula 1 versus one of the slowest. To the outside we go of K-Mag as we head up the back straightaway there, and once again around the outside before we even get into the braking zone. No DRS needed or anything like that, and well, struggling a little bit with the rubber off the restart there, as you can clearly see, trying to get some temperature into the tyres. Team is still saying 2 stops going to be the way forward today. I'm still definitely going to be trying that 1 stop if we can. Coming towards the end of lap 5, we are slowly getting back up to pace again, as we've already got a couple of guys into the pit lane there. That was Bottas and Perez into the pits as we set a 1:28.4 there, pretty much on par with the front runners here, but we're trying to close back up to Kimi Raikkonen at the moment. Maybe now we can get past him down the back straight. Let's see if we're going to be close enough then with the DRS to try and look past Kimi Räikkönen here as you really try to open up the exit onto the back straight. But there we are, gaining quite a bit on the Renault. Obviously they want a strong result in the home Grand Prix there, but we're not quite close enough into the first part of the chicane. Can we get a good switchback on the exit? Obviously Renault not really a top midfielder anymore either at the moment in this championship. Räikkönen, yeah, very much out of place up in P4 here, as we haven't really closed up a lot as we head through the fast right-hander there. But again, now as we head down in towards Sector 3, is this where we're going to gain even more on Kimi Räikkönen? Obviously a wise old head in that Formula 1 car, but we're not close enough to go for anything just yet. Maybe next time round, unless, of course, Kimi decides to dive it in. Yes, he does. So look at that then. Everyone else in front of us into the pits at the end of lap 6 there. So I have no idea why everyone doesn't think the tyres are going to last. But we're going to inherit the lead then of this French Grand Prix. And we're planning on going at least sort of 3 laps longer in this race. I'll have a look at what the tyre wear is like as we head back through turn 1 and turn 2. Getting a little bit of wheel spin there through the first corner. Yeah, look at that, 35% wear. We've got no issues whatsoever in going a bit longer, as Guan Yu Zhou already picked up a 5-second penalty today. Tell you what, I would have given £5 to anyone that would have predicted that would have been the top 5 at this stage of the day there. Myself, fair enough. Carlos Sainz, believable, just about. Jordan King Magnussen and Guan Yu Zhou there. That's, yeah, not the typical top 5 we tend to see in this series. Round in the final corner though, get ready to start lap 10 of this Grand Prix. The tyres have held up phenomenally well up to this point, and to be honest, we're still pulling away from the likes of Sainz behind us there. Still sat, yeah, around the 1 minute 30 mark on this rubber at the moment. And I mean, there's such a big train from, what, about 3rd down to 19th behind us as well, that are all just stuck behind the midfielders that, I mean, we're pulling away from them still. So this is really shaping up rather nicely for us at this early stage of this French Grand Prix there. We probably will pit the end of this one. We might go 1 lap longer though. Let's have a look what the wear numbers are at. Yeah, near enough 60. We'll pit the end of this lap. And then at the end of lap 10, very, very slow pit lane here around Paul Ricard. 37 miles an hour. It's always difficult to try and get the front end slowed down there. But Sainz is going to inherit the lead then of this French Grand Prix, which again kind of works out nicely for us, knowing the fact that a lot of the midfielders are going to be staying out for a couple more in this Grand Prix. But 17 laps to the end on a set of mediums is quite an aggressive tyre strategy, so we'll wait and see as to what happens here. I think if we wanted to safely one-stop this, going on the hards might have been the way forward there, but a 3.2 second stop is pretty awful as well. I can't lie, as we head back out of the pit lane. You can see it has cost us actually. We're going to come back out, down alongside Sergio Perez as we head in towards turn 1 there. So we have made some gains still on the AI, but down in 17th, we're going to need to make some overtakes. And again, this DRS train is not going to make overtaking the easiest thing to do in the world. Obviously, the AlphaTauri as well, a pretty quick car down the straights, as we've got someone with some issues here. Who is having issues in this Grand Prix? Albon's trying to make moves despite the yellow flags. It is. Who is that, actually? I say that. It's Valtteri Bottas. So Valtteri Bottas for Mercedes is going to fall to the wayside, and his torrid World Championship is going to get even worse. As that's not going to help us either. Another safety car in this French Grand Prix there. How might that affect the strategy between now and the end? Are we going to see a load of cars pit? Looking at that then, at the front of the field, Carlos Sainz is going to pit in this race there, and wisely so by Mclaren. Even if he goes on the hards to the end, this could massively leapfrog Carlos Sainz up the order there. Albon and Kvyat decide to stay out. Verstappen dives into the pit lane as well. Where is Carlos Sainz going to rejoin in this Grand Prix? It might be P2 for Carlos Sainz here, as George Russell's going to stay out even longer in this Grand Prix. Make sure we don't get done for speeding. No, Sainz comes out behind us, so that's okay then. We're back up in P4 of this race, but the likes of Sainz on those hards, he could be a threat towards the end here if we can't get to the end of this race. So, coming to the halfway stage of this French Grand Prix, then the safety car will be coming back in, and it will once again be George Russell who leads the way as we head down in towards the final couple of corners, and make sure we don't drop it under acceleration this time round as we head back down in towards the final turn. Honda power though, 2, 3 and 4 with 3 different cars as we head out of the final turn. Easy on the throttle, there we go. And it is green flag racing once again here from Paul Ricard there. Going to be interesting to see just how far Russell, Albon and Kvyat are able to go on their tyres, as well as Raikkonen just behind us. I think one of the biggest threats could now be Sainz, actually a little bit further back there off the restart. But can we get these tyres to the end, or are we going to have to sort of make a decisive call around lap 20 whether we need to pit or not? Could be race defining, but we'll see if we can move past a couple of cars before then. I think the top 4 of us in this race have realised just how potentially screwed we are as we head in towards the latter stages here. We're all just doing qualifying style laps at the moment there as George Russell tries to create a gap. We're definitely applying some pressure to Danny Kvyat at the moment, but obviously no DRS just yet off the restart here, so it is going to be a couple more laps. You can see Raikkonen already nearly 3 seconds behind us off the restart, and just a lap and a half. Obviously Renault just don't simply have the pace to keep up with the front runners at the moment. Can we get a good run onto the second half of the Mistral straight? The team's saying new strat. That is pit lap 22. It's a bit late to be making a second pit onto these tyres, but can we potentially have a look on Danny Kvyat? Don't really want to risk anything at the moment as we're all sort of dragging each other along. Have also got to remember we're on much fresher rubber than the guys just in front of us as well, so we should be a little bit quicker at this stage of the day. We've got another decent run out onto Mistral straight. Now obviously both myself and Kvyat are probably going to close down Alexander Albon as we head in towards the chicane here. We're all just concertinaing up just a little bit as we head in towards the corner there. Can we get a good run on the exit? We have got a really good run this time round on Danny Kvyat here, but look at the power from the AlphaTauri there. He's going to have a look up the inside of Alexander Albon. Are we going to be able to follow him past the Red Bull man there? So AlphaTauri jumping Red Bull, we might just be able to slip up the inside as well. There's a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact between myself and Albon there, but Albon loses 2 places in 2 corners to myself and Danny Kvyat there. And is this finally the Danny Kvyat we want to see in this career mode there? Albon tries to get his elbows out once more, but we're having absolutely none of that as he tries to just nudge me a little bit wide. Instantly dives into the pit lane there, going on to a fresh set of rubber. But very, very interesting at this stage of the day then. Fair play Danny Kvyat for going for a move in one of the bravest places on this track. Well, Kvyat might just have pulled off an absolute worldie on Alexander Albon. Surely now, without any DRS, he's going to be a bit of a sitting duck to ourselves here as we head up the Mistral straight once more. 220 miles an hour to the outside we go of Danny Kvyat there. We'll have a look right around the outside, and we do slam the door shut on the AlphaTauri man, and we're going to up it to P2 once more of this French Grand Prix. Russell still in the lead there, 2 seconds up the road there. He's quietly been able to pull away actually from the 3 of us as we battle it out for position there. But Sainz now up into 4th place as well. They're 6 seconds back at the moment. Hamilton maybe on the same strategy as Carlos Sainz as well. They're only another couple of seconds behind him. But yeah, we've got a couple more laps to decide what we're going to do in terms of strategy. And I think looking at that, it's still going to be risky. As George Russell now into the pit lane, I think we might have to come in about lap 20 and go on to softs to the end. These next couple of laps might still be race defining here as we almost set a new PB in this Grand Prix, but we just need to keep the tyres in good nick as everyone else now sat in some slower traffic here, and we've got to make sure we continue building up the gap to Carlos Sainz behind us as well. I think everyone just behind is going to the end of this Grand Prix there, so Hamilton under some pressure from our teammate Max Verstappen, who might finally be able to get another win on the board. Well, we might have got close last time round to our PB. This time round we've matched it in this French Grand Prix there. Not sure I've ever done that before on F1 2020, but talk about consistency, we are smashing it at the moment. But this is probably going to be the lap we need to dive in to the pit lane here, get onto that fresh set of softs to really be able to utilise them to the end of this race. The gap to Sainz now pretty much at 10 seconds behind us. I'm trying to work out where we'd rejoin in this Grand Prix. The team is saying 9th, so I think it would be between the Haas and the Racing Point there, as you can just see sneaking through the end of Sector 1, which wouldn't be too bad, but it would still leave us a fair way behind the front runners, but we would be going about 2 seconds a lap faster. Into the pits we must come then at the end of lap 20, not far to go in this French Grand Prix. Oh, that's not quite where we want it to be. On the way in. How is that a 3-second penalty, Codys? That might just have made our day a little bit more difficult there. No idea how that apparently deserves a 3-second penalty. We certainly didn't gain an advantage out of it. I wonder if it got a bit confused as you head in towards the final couple of corners there, but that's going to make it even more difficult. Like I said, to try and get back to the front of this Grand Prix. We need a good pit stop though. 2.6 isn't too shabby, better than the ones we've had previously in this Grand Prix. But heading back out then onto the racetrack, where are we going to rejoin in this race? We are going to be right where I said, between the Haas and the racing point. And now we need to push like crazy to try and close back up the gap. Jordan King has got a big opportunity to score Sauber, Alfa Romeo, some big points. I say big points, 4 points isn't a lot this weekend there, as we try to have a look up the inside, a very, very aggressive move. And we are going to move the Alfa Romeo back down into 9th place there. We have Magnussen as well up in 10th. This could be horrible for Williams, who have finally been able to put some points on the board over the last couple of seasons there, as these guys could be getting a big break this weekend. Could this be the first season perhaps that every team has scored? I don't think, no, because Alfa Romeo I don't think scored last season, if I'm not mistaken. Could this be the first time every team scored in this series and we're only halfway through a championship? Oh, we got Perez and Guan Yu Zhou going side by side in towards the chicane there. We might be able to gain out of this as we try to get a really good run off the exit here on Sergio Perez. He's going to be closing in on Guan Yu once again there, as we are currently going fastest. Oh, Perez very, very slow there. I was thinking he bailed out of a move on Guan Yu Zhou around the outside of the Mexican. Oh, we almost go into the back of the Ferrari man. Those we head down in towards Sector 3 there, around the outside of Sergio Perez we go, and this is exactly what I mean. We can't afford to waste any time behind other cars at the moment, especially these guys, you know, sort of in more midfield machinery at the moment. Around the outside of Guan Yu Zhou in towards the final corner of the lap as well. It's going to be an aggressive move, but he spots us down the inside, and we're going to leave those two to battle it out behind us. And now finally back up into P6 of the Grand Prix there. Ocon though, 5 seconds, or 4 seconds up the road I should say, with 5 laps to go here. Can we continue to close down the gap? Another new fastest lap as we head on to lap 24. They're dipping down into the 127s now in the latter stages of this Grand Prix. George Russell though goes even faster. So we have still got some quick guys behind us there, and I think that now means the Haas cars are out of the points once more there. But more importantly, at the front of the field, Sainz desperately trying to hold on to the race lead over our teammate Max Verstappen there. He's been nowhere really all weekend as our teammate Max Verstappen. He pit the end of lap 1 because he picked up some damage in that first lap scuffle, and now he's battling for the win still. Now all over the back of Hamilton and Esteban Ocon there, as we almost completely go into the back of Lewis Hamilton. You can see just how much we're struggling with the rear end though, as we're still trying to push this thing to the absolute limit. Qualifying style laps over and over at this stage of the day. Is now 2.5 to go. Sainz is still somehow holding on to the race lead over our teammate Max Verstappen here. Can we get a run on Lewis Hamilton in his Red Bull there? Things you never expect to say in Formula 1, and what a disappointing campaign it's been by those guys so far. Straight at the inside we go, and yeah, the Red Bull really got nothing to defend himself with as we head to the end of the Mistral straight there. Ocon as well, homeboy in the home team car as well. I'm sure they want a big result here, but hopefully for us, we're going to relegate him to P5 sooner rather than later. Can we try and get a good run out onto the Mistral straight and on Esteban Ocon here? The team is saying use the overtake mode, like I don't already know how to do that in this race. But Esteban Ocon is going to go a bit defensive on us, but to the outside, down the back straightaway. And again, we just about find the room. And again, when up another spot. Oh, I say that, we get a little bit squirrely on the exit of the corner here. But look at that, Verstappen now out of nowhere does finally make the move on Carlos Sainz there to take the lead of the French Grand Prix. With just over 1 lap to go here, we've still got one French driver battling for this race win. Pierre Gasly still in P3 there, waiting in the wings if things go pear-shaped between the top two. But I forgot, we need to try and pull out, obviously, the 3 seconds over Esteban Ocon if we want to hold on to this position as well there. We might be able to get it done on Hamilton as we head down in towards the final couple of corners of lap 26 here. But 1 to go then here from the French Grand Prix. Is Verstappen going to be able to do enough now to defend from Carlos Sainz, who surely in that McLaren is going to throw everything the team have got at it to try and get back into the lead of this Grand Prix? They've had 1 race victory since 2012. And obviously remember the fact that in this hypothetical universe it's 2024. So McLaren, yeah, obviously won Season 1 Spanish Grand Prix and haven't stood on the top step of the podium once again here in this World Championship. Obviously very, very different tale to our McLaren RTG as well. Oh, that's a little bit wide. Out onto the Mistral straight, but look at that, I think Max Verstappen has got the gap there, and Gasly might have a look past Carlos Sainz as well, so it's going to go from bad to worse for Carlos Sainz here, who looks set to try and take his very first Formula 1 race victory in this Grand Prix, but it's all just gone away from McLaren right towards the very end there. They just simply don't have a car quick enough to compete with the top runners here, but as we head down in towards the final sector of this French Grand Prix, like I said, from seemingly out of nowhere this weekend, Max Verstappen does look like he's going to be able to take home the race victory here. I think that would be his, what, third win of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it must be his, no, second. Is it second or third win? I genuinely can't remember there. It hasn't been the best endeavours for Max Verstappen at the start of this World Championship. But in towards the final couple of corners we go. Ocon's going to try and look back past us as we go all kind of pear-shaped in towards the final couple of turns. It is going to be the win for Max Verstappen, though. His second, if I'm not mistaken, of the season, and we come through for P6 at the end of the day.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
A great race then, and a fantastic victory here at Paul Ricard. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
Well, I'm thoroughly exhausted after the excitement of that race, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to our drivers here. They've worked hard to make it up there, and it's great to see them make their way out onto the podium. Let's have a look then at the drivers' standings. That lead at the top of the table has shrunk somewhat today. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Difficult call, but I'd like to say Esteban Ocon. He's just so gifted at getting the most out of his tyres, and he showed that today.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. The current leaders continue to extend their lead at the top. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
Well, there we are then, guys, the end of the French Grand Prix. And it is Max Verstappen who, yeah, like I said, takes home his second race victory of the season there. Not quite the same as the, what, no, it might be his third race win, actually, saying that here at the end of the race. Obviously, George Russell's got 2. I'm pretty certain, yeah, Max Verstappen has now 3. And obviously, we have 5 at the end of the French GP there. But I've just realised that means the podium streak is unfortunately over as well this weekend. Yeah, very, very weird and wonderful race at the end of the day there. But Verstappen and Gasly did make the 2-stop work there from pitting. I'm pretty certain both of them at the end of lap 1 there. To come through to finish 1-2 still just goes to show just how weird and wacky that race was at the end of the day. Sainz from 13th on the grid almost made it a dub, but ended up just falling out at the end into P3 there, ahead of Ocon, 16th to 4th as well. A brilliant day out by him, yeah, with 2 French drivers up inside the top 4 there. Obviously, no Romain Grosjean in the sport anymore. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anyone obvious. No, there we go. Both French drivers inside the top 4 there. A brilliant day out for those guys. Hamilton in 5th ahead of myself there. Sergio Perez 7th. Russell ahead of Guan Yu Zhou and Danny Kvyat there. And after all of that, Jordan King still only finished P11 in that Grand Prix. So Williams are safe for another weekend there. You can see the rest of your finishing order there. Further down the order as well. Both Bottas and Stroll not able to make it to the checkered flag there. But championship-wise, the gap at the top down to 41 between myself and Verstappen after that big win for our teammate there. Pierre Gasly does re-jump George Russell into P3. Esteban Ocon gets the jump on Albon up into P5 there. Kvyat gets the jump on Stroll into 7th. Perez on Bottas for 9th. Sainz and Hamilton move past Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc further down the order there. And you can see, yeah, Jordan King on countback as well, now ahead of Magnussen, Matsushita and Antonio Giovinazzi as well. So a whole lot of movers in the championship there. We further extend the Constructors' lead, though, 196 now the gap over AlphaTauri as we reach the halfway stage of the World Championship next weekend there. 14 between them and Mercedes there, and Red Bull now just 4 ahead of Racing Point further down the order there. McLaren get a bit of a gap over Renault there, and Ferrari still down in 8th place there, basically the worst of the non-backmarker cars at this stage of the World Championship. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and yeah, we will definitely be back very, very soon. Round 11 of the season, we head to the Austrian Grand Prix. You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.